Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki and here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty end in the green as bulls maintain the winning momentum. Mid-caps outperform. PSU stocks are among the top gainers. The United States ramps up the trade war with China. Biden administration increases tariffs on imports from China worth $18 billion. Targets steel, aluminium, electric vehicles, semiconductors, solar cells, critical minerals among other items. Shares of Hindalco rise after its US-based subsidiary Novelis files for an IPO on Wall Street. Hindalco is hoping to raise over $1 billion through a stake sale. Mankind Pharma is considering acquisition of Bharat Serum and vaccines from private equity firm Advent. Sources say Advent is looking to exit and is eyeing a valuation of about $2 billion. That's an exclusive. 14 people crushed to death and 74 injured after a 120-foot illegal billboard collapses on a petrol pump in Mumbai's Ghatkopar. The owner of the billboard goes missing. Civic authorities deny giving any permission to the hoarding and blame the railway police. Prime Minister Modi files his nomination from Varanasi, flanked by UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and a Hindu seer. The opposition is fielding UP Congress Chief Ajay Rai, who lost to Modi in 2019 elections. Supreme Court exempts Baba Ramdev and Acharya Balkrishna from appearing in person for future hearings of the Patanjali misleading advertisements case. Pulls up the president of the Indian Medical Association for his comments against the court despite his unconditional apology. As the war in Gaza continues to rage, a former Indian Army officer, now part of the United Nations staff, has been killed. Colonel Webber Kare died when his vehicle was attacked in Rafah as he was heading to a hospital. The UN has called for an investigation. Days after US cleared a $61 billion in military assistance, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits Kyiv. Ukraine's President Zelensky calls for more air defense systems to ward off Russian attacks. OpenAI launches a new artificial intelligence model and a desktop version of ChatGPT. The Mac-exclusive desktop application will interpret voice-based commands and even analyze images. The upgrade is accessible to ChatGPT Plus subscribers today ahead of a wider launch in the coming weeks. Melinda Gates resigns from the Gates Foundation, one of the largest philanthropy in the world. She will receive $12.5 billion to commit to her work on behalf of women and girls. Right, let's start with today's market action. Sensex and Nifty built on Monday's gains with market breadth firmly in favor of advances. Mid-caps outperformed, rising 1%. Nifty PSU index was amongst the top gaining indices, while metals surge on positive cues. Prashant Nair joins us with the market action. Prashant.
A decent bounce today after many days of painful kind of trading activity. The market did not see a big swing like yesterday. Yesterday, of course, there was a 200-point dip. There was a 200-point recovery. Today, it was more steady from the word go this morning. We ended off the day's highest point. At one point, it looked like it would be a 200-point plus day, but it was more like 100-plus points. The Nifty Bank did a little lesser, but was in the green, was positive. Mid-caps and small caps, of course, also coming back a little bit. They've, of course, taken a bigger beating as compared to what the Nifty large caps have done. Large caps and where there was action, Adani Enterprises did very well. Actually, the Adani Pack was up and about. Mahindra & Mahindra, a hero from the auto space, but there was also some of these old economy material sectors like L&T, JSW Steel, ONGC, which participated on the upside. On the downside, Cipla, TCS and Nestle stood out as some losers. What was higher today? It was PSUs and it was metals and it was, of course, PSU metal stocks as well. So I'll start with the PSU names here. Cochin Shipyard, NHPC, IRFC, Hudco, RVNL, Engineers India, IRCON, IREDA, Railtel, Bharat Dynamics, Garden Reach. I could go on, but this is, a list of the top 10 gainers from the PSU space. Metals as well, right? Nalco, SAIL, Vedanta, JSPL, NMDC. That's the other big thrust area. What was under pressure? There was Zomato, Hindustan Zinc, which has done very well recently. UPL, a bit of a reversal after yesterday's pop. Cipla, Dixon and D-Mart were some of the others. So, the hope is that with yesterday's big swing kind of a day, the market is finished this fall, at least for now, and we can find our footing going forward. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Prashant, for that. The big international update that we're tracking just a few weeks after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's China visit, the United States has ramped up the trade war with China. The Biden administration has increased tariffs on Chinese imports worth $18 billion. Steel, aluminium, electric vehicles, semiconductors, solar cells, critical minerals are among the many items that have higher tariffs. My colleague Parikshit Luthra is joining us with the details. Parikshit, could you take us through the changes in rates that have been announced?
Well, the trade wars between US and China have been going on for the last 4 to 5 years. They began during the Trump administration, and there has been a 4-year review which has been concluded, and President Biden has asked the US Trade Administration to impose higher tariffs on China. Now, why is this being done? This is being done to protect American workers and American businesses, protect against intellectual property rights theft, and also prevent dumping of cheap Chinese exports across the world. So what will be the sectors where these tariffs will be imposed? Electric cars. Tariffs on electric cars proposed to be increased to 100% in 2024. This is the biggest increase in tariffs on Chinese products, and this comes on the back of Tesla sales slowing down globally, and the likes of BYD in China actually surpassing Tesla for the first time worldwide. So in the light of that big threat from Chinese electric vehicles, these tariffs have come on Chinese EVs. On semiconductors, the tariffs are proposed to be increased to 50% in 2025. Now, this comes in the back of the US investments in its own semiconductor ecosystem, the CHIPS Act, to ensure that all companies work towards onshoring of semiconductor facilities on US soil. On syringes and needles, the tariffs are proposed to be increased to 50% in 2024. On solar cells, they are increased to 50% in 2024. On lithium-ion electric vehicle batteries, a very key component of electric vehicles, tariffs will increase to 25% this year. On steel and aluminium products, tariffs are proposed to be increased to 25% in 2024. And we will also see tariff increases on face masks, medical gloves, natural graphite, critical minerals, and ship-to-shore cranes. One product that has been excluded from this higher tariff regime is Chinese machinery imported by US businesses for solar manufacturing products. And this will not be a part of this new policy. But clearly, this could trigger a tariff war with China, and we could see retaliatory action from the Chinese government as well.
All right. Thank you, Parikshit, for that update. Moving on, inflation in India's wholesale prices rose to a 13-month high of 1.26% in April, as per the Commerce Ministry data. This owing to an uptick in food inflation and a 1.4% rise in fuel and power prices after several months of deflation. Further, the whole price inflation for April is in contrast to the retail inflation data for the month, which remained largely unchanged at 4.83% in April. PVR Inox's net loss narrowed to 90 crore rupees in the fourth quarter from over 300 crore in the same quarter last year. Revenue grew 11% year-on-year, while EBITDA surged by 31%. The multiplex chain also posted a profit of 114 crore for the fiscal, compared to a loss of over 200 crores a year ago. Hindalco subsidiary Novelis has filed its registration statement with the US Securities and Exchange Commission for its proposed public issue. The common shares are expected to be offered by the sole shareholder, AV Minerals. However, the number of shares offered and the price range for the IPO have not been determined yet. Reports have said that Hindalco is seeking to raise $1.2 billion in the IPO and may target a valuation of about $18 billion. Mankind Pharma is looking to acquire Bharat Serum and vaccines from private equity giant Advent. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that Advent owns 100% stake in the company and is now looking to sell its stake and exit the company. The private equity is seeking a valuation of $2 billion for its complete stake. Shriram Finance has announced that it will sell Shriram Housing Finance to private equity firm Warburg Pincus. The proposed transaction will be valued at 4,630 crore rupees for equity and convertible instruments of Shriram Housing Finance. Warburg Pincus will acquire the stake via its affiliate Mango Crest Investment. Currently, Shriram Finance holds controlling stake in its housing arm, while Valiant Partners owns the remaining stake. As a part of the deal, Valiant will completely divest its equity stake to Warburg Pincus. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Umesh Revankar, Executive Chairman at Shriram Finance, has said that the company will now focus on its core business.
The capital adequacy of SFL will improve by nearing to 100 basis point. That is one thing. And that will help us to grow our business faster for the next year or so. And also know we can focus on our business, which is the core. Our core business is lending to businesses, lending for buying of commercial vehicle and SME businesses. And we will focus on that.
Moving on, at least 14 people are killed and 74 injured after a giant 120-foot billboard collapsed onto people during heavy rain and thunderstorms in Mumbai's Ghatkopar area. The incident happened on Monday evening when Mumbai was hit by sudden gusty winds and rain. Horrifying visuals show the huge billboard falling on a petrol pump, crushing several vehicles beneath. Rescue teams were immediately rushed to the spot. Within minutes of the tragedy, it was revealed that the hoarding was installed illegally by Ego Media. Mumbai Civic Authority says the land where the hoarding was put up belonged to the government railway police, which had granted permission to the ad agency. The police have now filed an FIR against the owner of the ad firm, Bhavesh Bhinde, and other officials of the company. Bhinde, who was also booked in a rape case by the Mumbai police earlier this year, is now absconding. My colleague Rachna Dhanrajani joins us live from Ghatkopar. Rachna, what is the latest situation on ground? What are you picking up?
Well, it's been over 24 hours since the rescue operation started here at the Ghatkopar hoarding crash site. NDRF has been managing to get about 75 people out of the rubble, of which 30 have already been discharged. But 14 people have unfortunately died. Of these 14, from what we've found out, is that 3 of them remain unidentified at Rajawadi Hospital, which is the closest government hospital from the crash site. What we've also gathered is that one of the 14 was a 25-year-old medicine delivery professional who was finishing his delivery and had stopped at the petrol pump to fill the tank of his bike and was on his way home, but now is unfortunately dead. While information on others remains to be coming in, what we know so far is that the NDRF has now said that the rescue operation is over. But remember, the estimated number of people trapped in was about 100, and only 75, apart from 14 dead, have been managed to come out of this rubble. Now, what the biggest task that remains at hand is to clear out this rubble, as you can see behind me. What NDRF has again told us is that had it been like a regular debris clearing out process, they would have managed to do it easily. But because this involves a petrol pump and an oil tanker being crashed under the hoarding, this has made this entire scene extremely tricky, because they have to be very careful, because there's a constant risk of a fire starting out because of the petrol and the explosive present within the rubble site. Now, as you can see behind me, what they're doing is they're dismantling the entire hoarding into smaller pieces and then bringing it out using machines. So this process could take over 2 to 3 days, is what the NDRF's estimation is. In Mumbai, Rachna Dhanrajani.
Right, thank you, Rachna, for that ground update. The incident once again puts the spotlight on the menace of illegal banners and hoardings and how they can be fatal. Abhimanyu Sharma looks at how the courts have been repeatedly warning against illegal hoardings.
Mumbai's municipal body, BMC, has claimed that the giant hoarding that fell in Ghatkopar after yesterday's dust storm was constructed without their permission and that the matter was sub judice. However, several orders have been passed by the Bombay High Court itself against illegal billboards in the past. In February this year, the Bombay High Court had observed that no political, religious or commercial organization could legally use public spaces for erecting hoardings on roads and footpaths for their personal gain. The court had instructed the BMC to publicize streets where banners are permitted. In December last year, the High Court had pulled up the Maharashtra government for inaction against illegal hoardings and banners. The court had expressed its anger and exasperation in a suo motu case it had registered over non-compliance with its 2017 order, when it had directed the Maharashtra government and all municipal corporations in the state to ensure that illegal hoardings are not put up in public spaces. In February 2018 too, the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai was questioned for using a hoarding to advertise the magnetic Maharashtra Convergence conclave when the hoarding itself was termed as illegal by the civic body earlier. Way back in 2008, the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court had also directed for removal of billboards erected within 40 meters of the national highway.
Thank you, Abhimanyu, for that. Several people are killed every year in Mumbai in rain-related tragedies, and each time there's a blame game over the lives lost. Little is done to prevent a repeat of these incidents. Hormaz Fatakia recaps all the monsoon tragedies in the past few years and the apathy by the system.
It turned out to be a hoarding that broke records. The 17,040 square feet hoarding installed in Mumbai's Ghatkopar was mentioned in the Limca Book of Records as the largest hoarding. 14 other people found a mention on Monday evening courtesy of that hoarding. A mention in the list of the deceased. Blame games have begun, as is the case in most such tragedies. Additional Commissioner of the Civic Body told CNBC-TV18 that the Bombay High Court had made it clear that the hoarding was not the BMC's business and it was on the GRP land. However, with the tragedy having taken place now, they can intervene as it becomes their jurisdiction. Now, this isn't the first such rain-related tragedy in Mumbai. A wall collapse in Chembur 3 years ago in 2021 left 17 people dead, while another such incident in Vikhroli left 7 people dead. The Gokhale Bridge in Andheri has been the subject of many a meme due to its forever under construction status. That bridge collapsed in 2018, that killed 2 people, and after multiple delays is finally operational, but only partially and also only for light vehicles. Another heartbreaking tragedy took place in 2017 when at least 23 people were killed and another 39 were injured in the stampede that took place on the erstwhile Elphinstone railway station, now known as Prabhadevi. The army sprung into action soon after building a new bridge just in a few months post that tragedy. A wall also collapsed in Malad in 2019, which resulted in the death of 22 people. Yet again, compensation was announced and we never heard about that incident again. Lastly, Dr. Deepak Amrapurkar, one of the city's top gastroenterologists, lost his life after he fell into an open manhole just a month before that tragic Elphinstone stampede. Now, such incidents are still reported almost every monsoon in the maximum city. The tragedy took place yesterday, is business as usual in Mumbai today. Most of these incidents were never heard of a few days of outrage. It will not come as a surprise that if this too heads in a similar direction.
Right, thank you, Hormaz, for that update. Moving on, as the war in Gaza continues to rage, a former Indian Army officer, now part of the United Nations staff, has been killed. Colonel Vaibhav Kale lost his life in an attack on his vehicle as he was going from Gaza to inspect a hospital in Rafah. During his tenure in the Indian Army, he had served in the 11th Jammu and Kashmir Rifles Infantry Regiment. He had taken premature retirement from the army and recently joined the UN about 2 months ago. So far, there's no clarity on who is behind the attack. The United Nations has called for an investigation. According to a new report by the Human Rights Watch released today, Israeli forces have carried out at least 8 strikes on humanitarian convoys and their facilities in Gaza since October, even after aid organizations provided their coordinates to the Israeli authorities. The organization said the Israel Defense Forces did not issue warnings to the aid organizations before the strikes, which killed or injured at least 31 people. So far, more than 190 UN staff have been killed in Gaza, most of them national staff of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, or UNRWA. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Kyiv, making this the first visit of a Biden administration official to Ukraine since the US announced its $61 billion aid package last month. The top US diplomat met President Zelensky in Kyiv, promising him that the aid will make a real difference against Russia's aggression. Melinda Gates has resigned from the Gates Foundation, one of the largest philanthropy in the world. She will receive $12.5 billion to commit to her work on behalf of women and girls. And it's time for a short break, but coming up, OpenAI launches a newer artificial intelligence model and a desktop version of ChatGPT. Details when we return. Welcome back. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has filed his nomination from Uttar Pradesh's Varanasi for the Lok Sabha elections. He is seeking a third term from Varanasi, which is a BJP bastion. The party has won the seat 8 times since 1991. In 2014, the constituency witnessed a historic clash between Prime Minister Modi and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, resulting in the PM securing the seat. Varanasi will be voting in the 7th and final phase of this election on June 1st. Speaking to Network 18, PM Modi said that people of the country will vote in his favour. Take a look.
मैं ये मानता हूं कि मेरे देश के लोग मुझे वोट देंगे। मैं जिस दिन हिंदू मुसलमान करूंगा ना, उस दिन मैं सार्वजनिक जीवन में रहने योग्य नहीं रहूंगा और मैं हिंदू मुसलमान नहीं करूंगा। ये मेरा संकल्प है। अगर मैं घर देता हूं, मैं सैचुरेशन की बात करता हूं, 100% डिलीवरी। इसका मतलब हुआ गांव में मानो 200 घर है, कौन समाज है, कौन जाति है, कौन धर्म है, 9 उन 200 घर में अगर 60 लाभार्थी हैं तो उन 60 लाख लोगों को मिलना चाहिए। और जब मैं 100% सैचुरेशन का मतलब होता है वो सच्चा सामाजिक न्याय है, वो सच्चा सेक्युलरिज्म है।
Supreme Court exempts Baba Ramdev and Acharya Balkrishna from appearing in person for future hearings of the Patanjali misleading advertisements case. The court also pulled up the president of the Indian Medical Association for his comments against the court despite his unconditional apology. Moving on, Sony has reported a 7% drop in annual profits owing to a decline in its financial services division. The company also narrowly missed its forecast for unit sales of its flagship PlayStation 5 gaming console for the full year. However, quarterly profit grew 57% year-on-year, while revenue grew 14%, boosted by a rise in image sensor sales. The Japanese conglomerate also said it would conduct a 5-for-1 stock split and buy back up to 2.46% of its shares worth 250 billion yen. Popular meme stock GameStop surged 72% after Redditor Roaring Kitty, who started the stock's huge meme stock short squeeze in 2021, posted on X after a 3-year break. The Redditor, whose official name is Keith Gill, posted a meme of a man sitting up in his seat, which users interpreted as an indication of his return. According to data from S3 Partners, short sellers reported over $1 billion in mark-to-market losses betting against GameStop. OpenAI launches a new artificial intelligence model and a desktop version of ChatGPT. The Mac-exclusive desktop application will interpret voice-based commands and even analyze images. The upgrade is accessible to ChatGPT Plus subscribers today, ahead of a wider launch in the coming weeks. Tech giant Google is set to kickstart its annual developer meet in California today. Ashmit Kumar joins us now with the details. Ashmit, what can we expect from the event? Any new launches on the annual?
Well, I'm coming to you from the heart of the Silicon Valley. I'm joining you from the city of Mountain View, California. We're just outside the Google campus, and there is a fair bit of energy and excitement going forward within Googlers about what to expect, what to anticipate from the Google I/O, which is just a few hours away from now. Now, Google I/O is the biggest developer conference hosted by Google. This is the platform that Pichai often uses for making the biggest announcements, especially in the realms of technology, innovation, and AI. Now, Pichai, we understand, is expected to take stage at 10 a.m. That's Pacific Daylight Time. That would be 10:30 p.m. Back home in India. But while Pichai's team is extremely silent about sharing what to expect in just a few hours from now from Google I/O, what we do understand, what they do tell us, is that there are some breakthrough announcements expected, especially in the realm of generative AI. Now, it couldn't have come at a more opportune moment, these announcements that they're expected to make shortly, for primarily 2 reasons. The first reason is that Gemini, which is the large language model of Google, has faced a lot of flack recently with respect to, one, the accuracy of responses, two, the political sensibility of those responses. But that's just one half of the story. The other, of course, is that Google is locked in a tight battle for supremacy of generative AI with Microsoft-backed ChatGPT. So clearly, some big breakthroughs are expected, and which is likely to shape this battle with Microsoft and this journey of Gemini going forward. We'll, of course, continue to get our viewers the latest updates from right here in Mountain View, California.
Right, thank you, Ashmit, for that. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates continue right here. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18.